In the dim glow of early evening on a quiet stretch of highway, Officer Daniel Carter patrolled with his usual calm vigilance. The steady hum of his cruiser blended with the whisper of the wind, and the road stretched out like an endless ribbon of possibility. Suddenly, a flash of blue and red lights caught his eye as he observed a vehicle swerving near the roadside. Instinctively, he initiated a traffic stop. Pulling his cruiser to the side, Officer Carter approached the car with measured caution. As he stepped out, his trained eyes noted every detail: the vehicle's dented fender, the driver's restless movements, and then, almost by accident, he caught sight of something unusual on the passenger's arm. There, boldly inked across her forearm, was a tattoo that sent an unmistakable chill through him. In an instant, his demeanor shifted, his eyes widened, and he froze mid-step, as if time itself had momentarily halted. The woman behind the wheel, unaware of the reaction she had triggered, greeted him with a blend of defiance and curiosity. "Is there a problem, officer?" she asked coolly, her tone steady despite the situation. But Officer Carter's mind raced. The tattoo was no ordinary design. It was an intricate emblem, a symbol he had seen only once before in a long-forgotten file tucked away in his department's archives. A file that hinted at a secret past, a history of personal loss, and a connection that he had desperately tried to bury. For a heartbeat, the world around them blurred into insignificance as Carter wrestled with the unexpected revelation. The incident was no longer a routine traffic stop. It had morphed into something deeply personal, a moment where his professional detachment shattered in the face of a haunting reminder. As his heart pounded, questions flooded his mind. Who was this woman, and what did that tattoo mean? Was it a sign of a long-lost connection he could not ignore? The atmosphere thickened with tension. Nearby motorists slowed to a crawl, and a few witnesses began to murmur. The normally controlled officer now stood rooted to the spot, caught between duty and a stirring of emotions he had long suppressed. In that charged moment, the stakes had shifted dramatically. The tattoo was more than ink. It was a symbol that threatened to overturn everything he believed about his past and his identity. The promise of an impending, dramatic revelation hung in the air, leaving everyone to wonder, what secret would the tattoo reveal, and how would it change the course of the night? Before we go any further, subscribe to the channel and comment below where you are watching from. For our returning subscribers, thank you so much for your unwavering support. It truly means a lot to our community. Officer Daniel Carter had served on the city's police force for over a decade. Known for his dedication and calm under pressure, he had earned the respect of his colleagues and the community alike. Yet behind his measured exterior lay memories and secrets that he had kept locked away. His uniform, always crisp and impeccably maintained, was a symbol of order and authority. But beneath that badge, there was a history that he had spent years trying to forget, one filled with loss, regret, and unanswered questions. The scene of tonight's unexpected confrontation was a stretch of suburban highway that cut through a quiet neighborhood at dusk. The fading light painted the sky in hues of orange and purple, and the road, flanked by trees and neatly trimmed lawns, was usually a picture of tranquility. Tonight, however, that peace was shattered by the red and blue glow of police lights and a tension that crackled in the cool air. In the driver's seat of a slightly beat-up sedan sat Simone Brooks, a woman in her early 30s with an air of quiet confidence. Simone's style was unassuming yet striking, a mix of modern fashion and subtle rebelliousness. Her hair, loosely tied back, framed a face that was both thoughtful and mysterious. But what set Simone apart were the tattoos that adorned her arms, a series of intricate designs that told stories of her life, her struggles, and her triumphs. One tattoo in particular, inked on her left forearm, caught Officer Carter's attention, a design that seemed to hold personal significance, though Simone herself had never spoken much about it. Simone was not the type to seek attention. She carried herself with a reserved dignity that had won her both friends and admirers in her community. She worked as a freelance graphic designer, channeling her experiences into art that spoke to those who had felt marginalized. Tonight, She was simply returning home after a long day of work when she was pulled over. Little did she know that her routine evening was about to intersect with Officer Carter's buried past. The highway, with its steady flow of traffic and the soft murmur of passing vehicles, set the backdrop for the encounter. As Officer Carter approached, the subtle details of the scene, the rustle of leaves in the twilight, the distant sound of a passing train, created an atmosphere of calm before the storm. In that setting, every element, from the cool evening air to the quiet determination in Simone's eyes, hinted at a deeper story waiting to be unveiled. Unbeknownst to both, fate was aligning their paths in a way that neither could anticipate. For Officer Carter, the unexpected sight of Simone's tattoo triggered memories of a past he had long tried to forget, a past filled with personal loss and a lingering question of identity. For Simone, the routine stop was about to turn into an encounter that would unravel secrets and set in motion a chain of events with consequences far beyond a mere traffic violation. As the stage was set on that quiet highway, the collision between a man burdened by his past and a woman whose art told her life story promised to reshape their futures. The environment, the characters, and the unspoken secrets converged in a moment of destiny, ready to reveal truths that would challenge everything they once believed. In the moments after Officer Carter first glimpsed Simone's tattoo, the routine traffic stop rapidly devolved into an emotionally charged confrontation. Standing beside the sedan, Carter's eyes remained locked on the tattoo, a design he recognized from a file he had long since closed. His mind raced with questions and unresolved memories, while Simone's calm expression slowly gave way to uncertainty as she realized something was amiss. "Ma'am, please step out of the vehicle," Carter instructed, his voice unusually hesitant. Simone complied, maintaining her composure even as the tension in the air thickened. As she stepped out onto the pavement, her eyes met Carter's, and for a long moment, neither spoke. The silence was heavy, filled with unspoken recognition and an intensity that seemed to suspend time. Other motorists and pedestrians began to gather, drawn by the commotion. Some whispered among themselves, speculating about the nature of the tattoo and its significance. "I think I've seen that design before," one onlooker murmured, her eyes wide with curiosity. The conversation spread quickly, and soon enough, the crowd's collective attention was fixed on the unfolding scene. Carter, meanwhile, wrestled with the unexpected emotions that surged within him. The tattoo was more than just art. It was a symbol of a past he had once tried to bury. Memories of a long-ago loss, of a woman who had meant everything to him, began to flood back. His hands trembled slightly as he reached for his notepad, desperate to recall details he had almost forgotten. Yet, every word he tried to remember only deepened the confusion. Was it possible that the woman before him was connected to that unresolved chapter of his life? Simone, sensing the internal turmoil in the officer, asked softly, "Is there a problem, officer?" Her voice was steady, but there was an edge of concern. Carter's eyes, however, remained fixed on the tattoo. "That design," he muttered, barely audible, his voice trailing off into a whisper. The crowd grew restless, and murmurs of "what does it mean?" filled the air. The tension mounted as Carter's professional detachment gave way to a palpable vulnerability, an internal battle between duty and the pull of personal history. In the midst of this, a nearby witness, a middle-aged man who had been quietly observing, stepped forward and said, "Officer, I believe that tattoo is significant. Perhaps you should take a closer look." His words, though softly spoken, carried the weight of the growing crowd's curiosity. It was at that moment that the air in the gathering began to shift. The incident was no longer just about a routine stop or even an act of discrimination. It was about the revelation of a hidden past that threatened to upend everything Officer Carter thought he knew about himself. Carter's internal conflict erupted. I need to see it clearly," he stammered, stepping closer to Simone. His colleagues, sensing that something profound was about to unfold, fell silent. The tension was now electric. Simone, still composed, rolled up her sleeve to reveal the full extent of the tattoo, a design rich with symbolism, intricate and detailed, that told a story of love, loss, and legacy. In that moment, the crowd's whispers reached a fever pitch as everyone recognized that the tattoo was no mere decorative mark. It was a symbol that connected directly to a part of Carter's past he had long kept hidden. As Carter's eyes scanned the tattoo, his expression shifted from confusion to dawning realization. The details of the design, its curves, its hidden imagery, mirrored those found on an old photograph he had cherished. His heart pounded as he began to understand the magnitude of what he was witnessing. The crowd watched in silence as the realization dawned on him. Simone was not just a random customer. She carried with her a legacy that was deeply intertwined with his own lost history. The conflict was now fully unleashed. The atmosphere was charged with a mix of shock, sorrow, and a flicker of hope. The once routine traffic stop had transformed into a profound moment of reckoning, a moment that promised to unravel long-held secrets and force a confrontation between the past and the present. As voices rose in quiet murmurs of astonishment, the stage was set for the next phase, a dramatic escalation that would see the power dynamics shift irreversibly and change the lives of everyone involved. In the days that followed the startling encounter, the story of the traffic stop spread like wildfire across Central City. Social media erupted with reactions as images and videos of Officer Carter's stunned expression and Simone's revealed tattoo were shared widely. Hashtags such as #TattooTruth and #HiddenLegacy began trending, drawing both curiosity and outrage. The once quiet incident had now become the focal point of a broader conversation about identity, redemption, and the power of the past to shape the present. Within the police department, whispers of the incident quickly reached the ears of senior officials. Internal memos were circulated, and an urgent meeting was called to discuss the matter. Officer Carter's reaction, so raw and personal, was a subject of heated debate. Some colleagues expressed concern that he had allowed his emotions to cloud his professional judgment, while others believed that the incident had revealed a vulnerability that needed to be addressed. "We all have ghosts in our past," one officer commented quietly during a break, "but sometimes they resurface when you least expect it." The conversation was fraught with tension, as many struggled to reconcile the image of the composed, disciplined officer with a man now visibly shaken by a long-buried memory. Outside the department, the public response was equally intense. Local news outlets picked up the story, and a series of interviews with eyewitnesses, community leaders, and even members of Carter's family began to air. In one particularly poignant segment, an old friend of Carter recalled, "He never spoke of his past, but I always knew there was something he was trying to forget. Today, it seems that something has come back to haunt him." The revelation added a personal dimension to the story that captivated the public's imagination. Simultaneously, community activists and cultural commentators seized upon the incident as a powerful symbol of how personal history and identity can intersect in unexpected ways. Panels and town hall meetings were organized to discuss the implications of hidden legacies and the importance of confronting one's past. The story resonated deeply with many who had themselves experienced the bittersweet interplay of memory and identity. "It is a reminder," one activist said in a televised forum, "that our past shape us in ways we cannot always control, and that sometimes facing those truths can lead to unexpected redemption." Back at the police department, Lieutenant Marcus Daniels oversaw the deepening investigation into Officer Carter's reaction. Daniels, known for his measured approach and commitment to transparency, gathered additional evidence, from digital logs and confidential interviews, to piece together the full story behind the tattoo. "We must understand every detail," Daniels insisted during a series of meetings, "because what we learn here may not only redefine one officer's career, but also the way we view our own histories." His determination resonated with many of the younger officers, who had long felt that the department needed a renewed focus on accountability and emotional well-being. As the investigation advanced, pressure mounted from both within the force and in the public sphere. A leaked internal report confirmed that Carter had a personal connection to the tattoo. a connection so profound it explained the shock and regret etched on his face. The report detailed how, years ago, a cherished person had left a mark that was now mirrored in the design on Simone's arm. The revelation was explosive. The tattoo was not just art, but a legacy that tied Carter to a past he had thought was buried forever. Public protests grew louder. Crowds gathered outside police headquarters, holding signs demanding that the department address not only the incident at hand, but also the deeper issues of hidden traumas and unchecked authority. The atmosphere was electric, a potent mix of anger, hope, and a collective desire for transformation. Local government officials and community leaders called for a full, independent review of the department's practices, urging that transparency and healing be at the forefront of any reform. Every new piece of evidence, every shared interview, and every public outcry added layers to the escalating tension. The incident had evolved from a routine traffic stop into a profound moment of reckoning, a moment that forced everyone to confront the power of personal history and the need for accountability in positions of authority. The department, under intense scrutiny and mounting internal pressure, was now on the brink of a dramatic turning point. The rising tension, fueled by the convergence of personal revelations and public demands, promised that the final act was imminent, a moment when truth and justice would collide and the scales of power would be irrevocably tipped. The decisive moment arrived on a crisp afternoon in a packed briefing room at the Central City Police Headquarters. Senior executives, legal advisors, community representatives, and local media gathered, all eyes fixed on Lieutenant Marcus Daniels, who was about to deliver the final resolution of the investigation. With a calm but resolute voice, Daniels stepped to the podium and began. After a thorough review of digital records, eyewitness testimonies, and confidential internal reports, it is clear that Officer Daniel Carter's reaction was not merely an emotional lapse. It was the resurgence of a deeply buried legacy that he had long tried to forget. A murmur swept through the room as Daniels continued. The tattoo on the woman's arm mirrors one that is in our records, a symbol tied to a personal loss that has haunted Officer Carter for years. It is undeniable that this unexpected connection has shaken him to his core. Daniels' measured tone left no room for doubt. Effective immediately, Officer Carter will be placed on administrative leave while we conduct a full review of his conduct and provide him with the necessary support to confront his past. This decision is a testament to our commitment to accountability and to the healing process that every officer and every member of this community deserves. In that moment, the atmosphere in the room shifted dramatically. The revelation that the tattoo was a link to a long-forgotten chapter in Carter's life turned the entire narrative on its head. The once routine traffic stop had become a profound personal reckoning, one that forced the entire department to re-examine its approach to emotional well-being and accountability. Then, in a powerful gesture that resonated throughout the room, Simone Washington, the woman whose tattoo had inadvertently revealed so much, stepped forward. With quiet determination and a steady voice, she addressed the assembly. "I never intended to cause harm. My art is a tribute to my journey, and if it has touched someone's past, let it also be a catalyst for change. Today, let us remember that every mark on our skin tells a story, and sometimes those stories bring us together in unexpected ways." Her words, soft yet potent, were met with heartfelt applause and signaled the beginning of a transformative dialogue about the intersection of personal history and professional responsibility. The turning point was sealed as Inspector David Ramirez presented the final dossier, a comprehensive collection of all evidence, including internal memos, security footage, and personal accounts that documented the events and their aftermath. The dossier revealed not only the impact of the tattoo on Officer Carter, but also underscored the need for a systematic review of how personal traumas were addressed within the force. The Internal Affairs Panel, unanimous in its decision, confirmed that the revelation had profound implications for both the officer's career and the department's policies. In that decisive moment, the power dynamics in the room shifted irreversibly. The once unquestioned authority of Officer Carter was now overshadowed by the undeniable truth of his personal history, and the promise of accountability shone brightly. The decision to place him on administrative leave, while painful, was celebrated as a necessary step toward healing and reform. The collective determination in the room was clear. No one, regardless of their past or rank, would be allowed to hide behind unchecked authority. Justice, as a force for both retribution and reconciliation, had finally made its presence known. In the weeks that followed the dramatic press conference, Central City Police Headquarters embarked on a journey of introspection and reform. News of Officer Carter's administrative leave and the comprehensive internal investigation spread quickly, sparking widespread debate about the importance of addressing hidden traumas within law enforcement. Local media hailed the incident as a turning point, and social media buzzed with discussions about accountability, healing, and the power of personal history. Officer Carter, though still grappling with the resurgence of painful memories, began to receive support from within the department and the community. Senior leadership organized counseling sessions and cultural sensitivity workshops aimed at helping officers confront and heal from their past. Many colleagues, who had long suspected that unresolved issues could affect performance, expressed relief that the department was taking steps toward emotional well-being and transparency. The move was seen as a courageous acknowledgement that even the most respected officers might carry scars that needed healing. Simone Washington, whose tattoo had inadvertently become the catalyst for this profound turning point, became a symbol of unexpected unity and change. She participated in community panels and spoke at local events about the power of art to connect people and reveal hidden truths. Her gentle strength and willingness to share her story resonated deeply with many, inspiring a broader conversation about the role of personal expression in healing old wounds. Community activists and local politicians joined forces to call for broader reforms in how personal traumas and biases were addressed within public institutions. Town hall meetings were convened, and citizens demanded that all members of law enforcement be provided with adequate support systems to manage the emotional burdens of their service. Banners reading "Healing Through Truth" and "Every Officer Matters" were displayed at public gatherings, underscoring the collective desire for systemic change. In a final public gathering held in the plaza outside City Hall, Lieutenant Marcus Daniels addressed a diverse audience of citizens, police officers, and community leaders. Today, we have taken a monumental step toward building a future where accountability and healing go hand in hand, he declared. We recognize that our past, with all its pain and promise, shapes us, but it does not define us. Let this moment be a reminder that when we confront our truths, we can pave the way for a more just and compassionate society. His words were met with resounding applause and hopeful smiles as the crowd embraced the promise of a new beginning. As Central City gradually returned to its routine, the legacy of that fateful day endured. The painful incident had sparked a movement that reached far beyond the confines of a routine traffic stop. It had ignited a conversation about the need for accountability, the power of confronting one's past, and the importance of creating supportive environments within public institutions. The story of that day became a beacon of hope, a testament to the idea that even in the face of deep-seated pain and unresolved history, the pursuit of truth can lead to profound transformation. In the end, the journey of healing and reform at Central City Police Headquarters set an example for the entire community. The commitment to addressing not only the symptoms of discrimination, but also its underlying causes promised a future where every individual was treated with the respect and dignity they deserved. The powerful reminder that our pasts, no matter how hidden, can illuminate the path to a better tomorrow resonated deeply throughout the city. And as time passed, the legacy of that day served as an enduring symbol that when justice meets truth, even the darkest secrets have the power to set us free.